Want to teach your kids financial literacy but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/pod.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every week we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA. We are heavily in the middle of the Olympics. We've got some group play conclusion for the 5-on-5 woman. We have a medal for the 3-on-3 woman, and we're going to talk all through that. But before we get into that, Kristen, how's it going today?
Going pretty good. Loving the Olympics. I do really miss watching W games, though. I was thinking that while we were watching the Germany game. I was like, oh, I just miss, watching these women play against each other.
Yeah, no, they're playing together all the time. They're all of our favorite players that we don't get to see every day, they're not playing because they're not on Olympic teams. It does feel like it's been a long time since the last W game. So it'll be very welcome when it comes back. But we still have another week of Olympic action, which will hopefully end in a gold medal for our 5-on-5 team. But we're going to get all into that. And if you're new here, don't forget, you can send us an email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com, or connect with us on our Twitter at @ATBpod_. We have a guest today, a Olympic correspondent. Our friend, Alyson, is on to join us to talk about the Olympics because she said she loves the Olympics. Alyson, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Very excited to be here. Can't believe I'm finally getting to be on Attack the Baseline. But yeah, I've been getting more into women's basketball this year, and I definitely love the Olympics. So it's a good combination for me.
Nice. Very happy to have you on. You've been one of our day one supporters, and we love to shout out our day one supporters. You said that you've been getting into the W. Just give our audience a heads up. What's your experience with the W? And then, what's your favorite team? Who do you support?
Yeah, so really I would say before this year, I probably knew absolutely nothing about the W. So kind of like you guys. I remember listening to your first...
Welcome to the club.
Your first podcast about it where you were going through and trying to name all the teams, and I also could not name a team or a player or anything like that. And then kind of obviously I'd heard about the Caitlin Clark stuff and it was starting to become a big story, and then you guys had talked about getting into the W, so I figured might as well join along with that. I would say I really have not watched a ton. I'll watch clips and stuff pops up on my Instagram feed and all that. But mostly I just kind of follow the scores, listen to your podcasts, and just kind of track the stories that way. But I've been excited to really get into it through the Olympics. I'm a big Rutgers fan because my dad went to Rutgers. So when it was time to pick a team, I basically looked up Rutgers WNBA players, and Kalia Copper came up. And it turned out that she's incredible. And I was like, all right, I'll follow her, which led me to the Mercury. So I'd say I'm a Mercury fan, but honestly, if Copper were to go to a different team, I'd probably just follow her. And honestly, I'm just kind of, enjoying to get to know all the teams. Been liking it all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we resonate with that. Not that we have Rutgers connections, but Kalia Copper is from Philly, so yes. She's our girl as well.
Yes, a lot of North Philly girl talk on the game against Germany the other day. Kalia Copper, definitely one of our local hometown faves as far as W fans. I like that. I like that you decided to focus on a player and do it that way instead of just arbitrarily picking a team or whatever team's closest to you. I think that's a fun way to to sort of pick it, because then, like you said, if Ka goes to another team, and there's a chance that she does when we get into expansion drafts in the coming years, she could be anywhere. She could be on the other side of the country. But you know that, well, I guess that would be our side of the country. But you know what you like in Ka, and she is definitely one of the best players in the W.
Yeah, and I, in general, I'm a Cleveland sports fan. So, I think there used to be, I believe they were the Cleveland Rockers, that used to exist. And so definitely if they still existed, that would immediately be my team. Otherwise, I don't really have any like geographical allegiances. I guess I live in Boston now, so the closest would be Connecticut Sun, I guess. But it's not really even a New England team, so I kind of figured I'll stick with Rutgers here. But yeah, definitely I was watching a lot of Kalia Copper videos today, and there was a lot of Philly Pride, North Philly Pride, so that was cute.
Yeah, the Sun are weird because I feel like they try to be New England, but like aren't.
Right. They want to adopt it. They want to recognize Boston, but like, I feel like they're separate. And we've talked about this before, but I don't blame you for not saying like, that's just the closest team to where I'm living now, and picking that, like, doesn't always have to be the reason.
Well, we'll get into Ka and her other Mercury teammates, how they've been doing in the Olympics. But first, you want to talk about the 3-on-3.
Yes, yeah. So let's go through the 3-on-3. I know, Alyson, you checked out the bronze medal match that the team took place in today, and Kristen and I also watched that. But just to set the scene, there's a story that you can kind of tell with the team, because it was a very improbable run, and I'll just get us all the way up to that medal match, and then we can talk about it. But we mentioned this on the last pod. They lost that first game, and I think Kristen and I thought, well, they're just going to pick it up. They're just going to win the next one and be totally fine. But then they lose the second game, and they lose the third game, and then it's looking like they're not even going to have a chance to compete for a medal or even make it out of the group stage. Like we said, they play all 7 games against the other members of the group, and they go ahead and they win 4 in a row. They end up 4-3 in the group. They're the 3rd seed, which I thought was crazy.
Yeah.
In their last game, in their 7th game, they play China. They beat China, and then they have to play China again, who's the 6th seed, in the quarterfinal. They knock off China, and then today they had 2 games. They had their first game, which was going to decide if they played in the bronze medal match or the gold medal match, against Spain, who was a team that they beat first. Their first win was against Spain. They didn't do it this time because they got into some foul trouble, which was a bit of a shame, because they had a shot to go for gold there. But then they had to take on Canada again in the bronze medal match. And now I'll open it up. Alyson, what did you notice in that bronze medal match, or what did you enjoy about watching this 3-on-3 basketball? I know you said before that you thought it was a bit of a longer game, but it is not. It's quick.
Yeah.
I had known that the 3-on-3 was different, and obviously half court and faster, and expected it to be a little different, but really kind of went into the bronze medal game without much knowledge. And so I was under the impression that it was 2 10-minute halves, and had started a little bit behind, and I was going to catch up at halftime and go to live. And then the half ended, and I was like, all right, guess I'll fast forward. And then they were like, they won, and everyone was celebrating. And so I expected it to be fast, and that was really fast. But it kind of then put into perspective why they kept talking at the end about how it was so important, these last few moments. But I think that overall, I actually really enjoyed the game. It definitely seemed a lot more fast-paced. Obviously, I know there's a shorter shot clock and all that. Also, it seemed a little bit more like physical. Like, I feel like there was a lot of blocking and trying to knock the ball out of each other's hands, which added some excitement. And I think in general, for me, I like basketball, But it definitely, when I watch it, sometimes it can just be a lot of back and forth. And I kind of always say that a lot of times nothing really matters until that last quarter. So I don't even usually tune into basketball for until the last quarter. So I kind of liked this whole 10-minute, every single shot counts, every single possession counts. So I really enjoyed it. And I think it was exciting watching the little US team win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like same vibes for me when I watched these first couple games. I was so surprised that it was only 10 minutes. It's so fast. And like, if you get behind at all, it's like impossible really to catch up. So you have to be just going right from the gate. I think the US got in a lot of foul trouble. You just have to
in
like
different games, yeah,
not foul. Like,
well, it's really hard not to foul.
I
in
know,
3-on-3
because it
basketball.
is so physical.
Uh-huh.
But like that's what gets you. Like that, it really hurts you if you get a lot of fouls against you.
Right. I mean, it's so you in 3-on-3 basketball, I think we said this last time, but you can give 7 fouls before it starts to be it starts to send the player to the line to shoot 2 free throws.
That's a lot.
When you shoot 2 free throws in a game where a single bucket is 1 point,
right, that seems
the whole
like
game.
That seems not right to me.
Well, they figured it out in the last game. They
too.
did not do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
But yeah, they figured it out at the end.
Yeah, that was definitely something I noticed about the foul shots, because it's like in the regular games, a foul shot's a point, which matters, but it's obviously like it's just a foul shot, it's not a big deal, whatever, and they can add up, but in itself it's not a big deal. Whereas this one, when I would see them shooting foul shots and they would get it, I was like, that's like the same as if they just shot a regular jumper that wasn't a 3, and like the whole possession of getting through all the defense and whatever, compared to just like, oh, just lucked into a foul shot, that kind of thing. But yeah, it seemed like Canada was getting into some foul trouble in that game, which seemed like, that was kind of potentially their problem, because they seemed to start off pretty well. It was quite close. I mean, it was close throughout the whole thing, I guess.
Oh, yeah. No, it was pretty, I mean, the US won by 3, which is, I guess, like a decent margin for 3-on-3, but like, I was pretty nervous most of the game that they were not going to win, that they were going to cost themselves in one way or another. Either they were just going to go cold, or they weren't going to make their foul shots, because they've gone to the line, and I think there was a statistic that where they only made around 60% of their free throws, and these are supposed to be like literally free. These are supposed to be gimmies. Like, they're missing the easy ones.
Yeah, you can't.
So if you think about it, if they made those, maybe we're talking about a different color medal, but I who's to say? It's different. But they did end up winning, and I'm so happy, because like when you see them lose 3 games in a row, and you learn about I'm learning about these players like Haley Van Lith. I'm watching for real for the first time. Sierra Burdick I had never watched before, but we watched a good amount of De'Erica Hamby and Ryan Howard, and I feel like by the end of this, I loved watching Sierra Burdick, who was not the scorer. She was just a hard-nosed defensive player who was the voice of the team. She was calling out all the plays. She really like brought the energy, and I don't know. I just this player that I had no clue about before any of this ended up being my favorite, and she's not even in the W. Like it's so cool. Yeah. It's so cool to get to know players. That's what's cool about the Olympics.
Yeah. Oh, did you notice, Alyson, that there's no coach with them for the 3-on-3?
Yeah. Okay. I literally was just thinking that, and I was gonna say that I felt like how you were saying, it's like obviously a small team, and it just seems like there was a lot of teamwork among the 4 of them. And I was gonna say it's almost like it didn't even seem like there was a coach. So that's funny. I guess there just wasn't a coach. Because it definitely, I even remember just right at the beginning of the game when they kind of did their little huddles and were talking to each other. And it is interesting thinking about, like a full WNBA team or a full whatever, like the Olympic roster is of 12 or however many, versus just this tiny roster of 4 people. Like, you have to get pretty close and know each other's playing very well, especially when it is so fast paced and physical. And I think you guys had talked about this last time, how even the substitutions are like rapid
Oh
fire.
yeah.
Like you don't even notice when they're switching in and out, I feel like. So it definitely is definitely, yeah, I definitely think it felt like a more player driven version, which was cool to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps there would have been a different result had Cameron Brink been in the game.
Sure.
She won the World Cup 3-on-3 last year with the team. So they could have won, a different medal this year if she was there. But I think it would have been much bigger of a disappointment if they didn't medal at all. So,
correct.
So this was okay, I think.
I agree. And the men's 3-on-3 team, they didn't qualify for the quarterfinal. They went 2 for 5 in their 7 games and just flamed out completely, which is pretty crazy. But Alyson, I know that you're excited about the Unrivaled 3-on-3 league as well.
Yes.
Are there things that you are hoping are different, or do you think if this was how all these 3-on-3 games are in that league, because I don't think we know the format yet, like you'd be happy with that? Or is there like maybe a little longer games or like something you would hope to see different?
Honestly, I think if Unrivaled was exactly like this, I would watch significantly more games than I actually do of the WNBA. And this is something with me for basketball that every single year I say, okay, I'm going to get back into the NBA and actually watch the games. And it was kind of the same with the WNBA here. But like I said earlier, it's just like the back and forth that goes on for so long. Just I don't know. I just can't like concentrate and get us into it for the whole time. Whereas this, I think 10 minutes is a bit quick. I would hope that there was at least 2 halves or 2 quarters or whatever it is, like a short break in between. But it seems like, this league is going to be made up of a lot of stars that have a lot of experience. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's not coaches and that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like that would make sense if they just kind of figure it out amongst themselves. And I feel like I'd be very excited about it to watch the games. And when January, I think it starts in January, is that right? Yeah. So when that comes around, my Browns will be out of playoff contention by then, so I'll have plenty of time to be watching Unrivaled. So yeah, I'm honestly very excited. And any chance to get these players, more money, that they deserve is great.
True.
Obviously.
They said that there was a certain number of teams in that, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be 6 teams of 5? 6 teams of 5.
I guess 5, because this one only had 4. These 3-on-3.
Right, these teams were 4
So
players.
I guess 5 teams of 5 would be more interesting. I'm just thinking, the more games you play just with 4 people, like you can't really do plays, do like different.
Oh, they got plays.
They have plays,
different
but
looks.
It's kind of the same thing all the time. I'm thinking maybe they like switch up the teams. You can't really probably do that, but like I don't know. I want to see like different players play with and against each other.
Well,
rather than
that could be fun.
Yeah, that could be kind of. I mean, I don't know.
We don't know who's going to play with who yet. Like, we don't know how the teams are lined up.
No.
We only know 10 people that are in the league of 30. We're going to get those hints again. The official Unrivaled account, if for those not following on Twitter, said 8/12. They'll be back to sending out guesses about who could be in the league. So we're going to be excited to look forward to that. But I think this is a perfect like appetizer of 3-on-3 to like learn roughly what the format is probably going to look like, or at least how the game's played, and then see what happens, like you said, come January.
Yeah, I feel like probably before the Olympics, people were not familiar, or maybe I'm just speaking for all people, but I was not familiar with 3-on-3 basketball at all, that it even existed. But yeah, I guess, right, it's interesting because we don't know how the teams are going to be made or anything like that. But yeah, to your point, Kristen, I think that it would be fun for them to play against each other. I think they should have like team captains. This is my idea. Like, if you have like 5 or 6 team captains, and then everyone else kind of just rotates. But I don't know how that's fair to the other people then who don't get to count their wins in the same way. But
right,
it'd be fun to shake things up a bit.
Yeah, you couldn't count like team stats or anything. I'm assuming they want like one team to win, but I think that would be fun.
I am.
Switch it up.
Yeah.
Switch it up. Just switch it up.
Well, you could count like Team Asia's stats. But yeah,
Very true. So that's 3-on-3.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Dearica Hamby, Ryan Howard, Sierra Burdick, and Haley Van Lith for winning the Olympic bronze medal in women's 3-on-3 basketball. Mm-hmm. So now let's shift our focus to the 5-on-5 team who just completed their group stage. They went a perfect 3-0 against Germany, Belgium, and Japan. We talked about the Japan game, but we've got two other games to talk about now. Belgium and Germany, as we said. So, Alyson, you checked out those games. Let's talk a little bit about the Belgium game. That was a few days ago now at this point, but like, was this some of the first 5-on-5 action that you were checking out at this year's Olympics?
Yeah, I watched the...
Want to teach your kids financial literacy but not sure where to start? Greenlight can help. With Greenlight, parents can keep an eye on kids' spending and saving, while kids and teens use a card of their own to build money confidence. As a parent, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and more. It's a convenient way to run your household, customized to your family's needs, and the easy way to raise financially smart kids. Get started with Greenlight today and get your first month free at greenlight.com/pod.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends. Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with no hidden fees or markups. That's groceries, plus napkins, plus that vegetable chopper to make things a bit easier. Plus, members save on gas to go meet them in their neck of the woods. Plus, when you're ready for the ultimate sign of friendship, start a show together with your included Paramount Plus subscription. Walmart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at walmartplus.com. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.
Japan game also, and then the Belgium game. I think the Japan game was interesting in that it felt like it was watching such like different basketball than we're used to watching. Like, you know, just the players are a lot smaller and throw up basket, you know, like it's just a little bit different. Whereas then with Belgium and Germany, it felt like watching, you know, the women play how we're more familiar with. And also just looking at the teams, like these European teams were clearly like taller, which is a big factor against this US team. But yeah, it's always very cool to just see a team of, it's just all the all-stars. Like every single person is very relevant to their own W teams and very relevant to the league. And it's like anyone can score. I think it was in the Japan game that everyone scored at least once. So it's just cool to be able to see all these people in action at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't pay as close of attention to the Belgium game as I did to the Germany game. But I think the best player, the player that I wanted to highlight from both of these games was Alyssa Thomas. I feel like I just overlook her. But she was so clutch in these games. She was the one, running across the court and getting good baskets when, we need, not that we were ever behind really or at risk of losing.
Like doing the dirty work.
Yeah. She was really bringing necessary energy. So I think really points to Alyssa Thomas.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's funny that the Belgium game ends up being the toughest game for this U.S. team. They win 87-74. A 13-point margin's, pretty good. For them, it's about what you can expect when, like you said, Alyson, the best women's basketball players in the world all playing together. They're probably going to have a pretty high point margin. But Belgium only won one game in their group, and of course they were in our group. They knocked off Japan. They did squeak into the group, into the quarterfinals, so there is a chance that we play Belgium again later. I don't know if I expect that, but you mentioned like the European players much bigger than the Japanese players, so they match up a lot closer to the W. I guess I more focus on the Germany game, because the Germany game, talent-wise, was pretty similar. Because there are a lot of really good and legitimate WNBA players on that German team. But why don't we talk about what you saw in that game? Because that's the most recent. That was just the other day. And Germany, a team that we expect to probably win at least another game, maybe get to the final against us. Not putting the cart before the horse. What'd you take away from that Germany game?
Yeah. The one thing that I did want to say about the Belgium game that I just remembered also is that the crowd in that game was like on fire. Like the Belgian fans were out, and I guess it makes sense. It's, kind of close. But that really, I remember watching it and being very impressed with that. They really showed up. But yeah, I think with the Germany game, like you said, there definitely seemed to be like a couple standouts on the German team, which I guess is Sably and Peterson. And then, and yeah, I think at first it was, pretty close. And I think in general, the US, their team, everything's kind of come pretty easy to them in the first couple games. And it seemed like at the beginning of this US Germany game, it actually was quite close. And, Germany had a lot of good rebounds and steals and able to put it back up. But eventually we were able to just kind of come out on top. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was definitely an exciting game. And a lot of the same kind of superstars on our end doing the same good work, which is impressive, to do back to back to back.
Yeah, no, it was really cool to see Satu Sably back. Our first time watching her. She didn't play too much in the game. She didn't play the whole game. No,
she played 29 minutes.
Sure.
But still, like, it's a lot. It's a lot for her just because of the injury that she is, recovering from.
Yeah, she's coming back.
But she's back. She's back.
Yeah, she's back. Which is cool. Think she put up a fight. She wanted to win. But I think it was, reasonably difficult. There was a couple plays where she's guarding Asia Wilson, and it's like, you haven't guarded Asia in this whole year. So, and Asia's much better than last year. So she just doesn't have that experience from the W this year because she wasn't there.
Right.
So that was hard for her. But I think that it was a really good game, and it was really close through the whole first half. And then we really pulled it out in the second half. I think Jackie Young had an amazing second half. She was going off with Kelsey, like feeding her the ball. That was really fun watching those aces play together. And I think one of the most important things of that second half was some of the other players were able to take a break. Like Stewie didn't play much in the second half. Diana Taurasi and Chelsea Gray, they didn't play at all the second half. So those players, will need them more in these, quarterfinal, semifinal, final games. So it was really good that our bench players were able to score so much and let them take a break.
Totally. And just to point out, like you mentioned Jackie Young, the youngest player on this squad. I believe she's 26. So like not young, but I think it's cool. It's a cool similarity to on the men's side. Anthony Edwards is having some very big games for that squad, and he's the youngest person. So it's kind of cool to see like all these older, long-standing WNBA players. I mean, Jackie Young's been around for several years at this point, but she's still considerably younger than some of these other players on the team, and she's the one that is the standout. She's the one that hits 5 out of 8 threes to really stretch the lead and give them the opportunity to beat Germany. And it's funny because before the game started, the announcers were talking about how really the three-point shooting has been the thing in the first 2 games that wasn't really there for the U.S. team. And in this game, Jackie Young sort of opened that up. So now that the team has the front court and the back court playing perfectly together, it's hard to see how the U.S. could really lose. And I that's why I say I expect them to be in the final, because they're just so good. Like, is there anything else to say about them, Alyson?
Yeah. 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 I mean, I think that of the 3 teams that we've played so far, it seems like people would probably say Germany is the best of the 3. So coming off of the game against Germany, having done so well, even if it was close at the beginning, yeah, I definitely agree with what you were saying, how the whole talk from the first couple games is how good the U.S. has been from in the paint. And then, like you said, Jackie Young, of course, I have to mention Kalia Copper had three threes against Germany after not playing at all against Belgium, and had that little injury scare in the first game. So, it's only 3 shots, but that's almost 10 points. And then with Jackie Young. But yeah, I think, like I was saying before, I think where obviously A'ja Wilson and Stewie are kind of, they're always going to be towards the top of the stats and doing the great stuff for all these games, but it's cool still that there can be like another standout besides them that can just kind of rise up in a game and be the one that everyone kind of comes away with as the star. And this game was Jackie Young, and honestly for the rest of the games it could probably be anyone, which is really fun. And yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, like I said, I haven't been actually watching most of the games, but even just like watching these games and the rosters, like looking at the rosters, like, yeah, it makes sense that the Aces are just that good, because, like looking at this roster, you might be like, oh, well, Jackie Young is, I guess, the 3rd or 4th best Aces player on the team for the US here. And still she's able to come away with 20 points and just be amazing. So it's cool to see.
Yeah. No, that's definitely what's like so special about this team in particular. Like, you have A'ja and Stewie, who are like the two that are always going to be doing the best, the most consistent, the best shooters. And then any other day, it's somebody else steps up. And I would love to see who it's going to be in these next couple games. It'll be something different. Maybe it won't be Jackie Young again. Right. It'll be, I don't know.
Chelsea Gray.
Yeah, Chelsea Gray. Whoever else.
Diana Taurasi getting crazy from 3. Like,
yeah.
You never know. You never know.
Maybe.
Do either of you have anything else to say about either of these 2 games before I have the results of the group stage and what the quarterfinal is going to look like across this Olympics? But anything at all on these last 2 games?
I guess the last thing that I'll say, which similar to my point just now about the Aces, is this has really been my first time seeing a lot of A'ja Wilson live and in action. And yep, she is that good. People were right. Like, it's the kind of thing where, I've heard so much and seen little clips about how she's so great. And then it's like, all right, well, I'm excited to watch her. Let's hope it, it comes through. And it really has. And yeah, I was watching something with her today where they were talking about how, she was doing so well in the WNBA this season, which transitioned perfectly into still doing so well in the Olympics. And then hopefully she can kind of take it back to Vegas and keep it up. But just kind of with the blocking and the shooting and the rebounds, I've been very impressed with her, to the surprise of no one.
The one thing I have to mention is one of our most beloved players, Julie Van Loo.
Yes.
We were watching the Belgium game where she was playing for Belgium, and the announcers kept saying Julie Von Low. And I'm like, what?
Why are they pronouncing it different? And the announcers in the W say Van Loo.
Right, they
all
do.
say Van Loo.
I'm like, why are they saying that? Like, who are these dumb announcers that don't know who these players are? And then finally, one of them said, we're getting a lot of questions about why we're pronouncing Julie Von Lowe's name like this. It's because we're in France, and that's how she pronounces it. That's how people pronounce it around here. So I guess we're the dummies.
Maybe.
Will people start saying Julie Von Lowe? Because that's not even really right. Like, you have to say it with a French accent, which I can't do. But I guess Von Lowe is the closest to being correct.
Yeah, I mean, she's a rookie. Like, this is her first time in the W, so it makes sense that there's probably needs to be, like, a calibration about how to pronounce your name. But it's funny that I guess she doesn't correct people. She's one of those types of people that's just like, it's close enough. I'll let it be. But Julie Von Lowe.
Okay, we'll say that.
We'll have to say that.
Yeah, 5 years from now, everyone will say her name in a full-on French accent. That's how we'll get there.
I'm here to see it. I'm here to see it. Always love to learn a little bit more about the correct pronunciation. We're just going to take the announcers at face value because that's their job to know the names and how they're pronounced.
Right.
So if that's what we hear, that's what we hear. Anyway, like we said, the group stage is done. Let's look around at the different groups and see what some of these matchups are. So I'm going to go down each group and let everybody know, if they haven't seen, who made it through. Like I said in a previous pod, 8 teams out of the 12 in the group stages make it into the quarterfinal, and then there'll be the semifinal and the final. Looking at Group A, Spain and Serbia were the 2 teams to make it out. While China fell short, only going 1-2 in their matches, and Puerto Rico goes 0-3, does not make it through. In Group B, we have France, Australia, and Nigeria making it through because Canada went 0-3, lost every one of their games, and got bounced with a huge negative point differential. Surprising, because I thought, when we were going through our W talent that was on the Canadian team.
Yeah, Bridget Carleton.
Bridget Carleton doesn't have a shot, which is a shame. But it's okay. She can go back to Minnesota and figure it out for the Lynx. And then Group C, where we are, the U.S. and Germany and Belgium all make it through. Japan goes 0-3.
That was surprising.
Japan, because?
Because they were the gold medal. They won silver last time. Right.
They had the home boost in Tokyo.
Yeah.
For sure. Anything surprising?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say a tough overall Olympic go-around for Canada.
Yeah.
Women's basketball, I guess.
That's true. They missed the medal.
After that 3-on-3 game today now I feel bad for them. But yeah, I feel like I kind of have not really been following the around the world talent until they come face to face with us. But so nothing particularly stands out to me as super surprising. But I'm excited to see. So do we know who we're playing yet?
We do. So the matchups in the quarterfinal, we have Serbia playing Australia, and these games are taking place. We're recording this on August 5th. These games will be taking place on August 7th, so that's Wednesday. If you want to check them out, starting at 5 a.m., all 4 games will be played.
Get up at 5 a.m.
Get up 5 a.m. Serbia and Australia, and then there's Spain versus Belgium, and then there's Germany versus France. And then the last game of the day is at 3:30 p.m. Our U.S. women's national basketball team versus Nigeria, who Kristen and I have said has a University of Delaware alum on the team. Nigeria, the first African team to make it to the quarterfinal. It's a shame that we have to take them out in the first round, which is sad because I want to just put my full support behind them. But yes, those are the 4 matchups. We're going to see how it turns out. I don't honestly know. And all those other matchups.
So is this like the bracket? Like,
I think this is like what the bracket looks like.
So like we'd play Serbia or Australia?
I think we would play either Germany or France.
Oh, down there. Okay.
Yeah. But I could be wrong. I'm like looking at what Google's telling me. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily the true bracket.
Okay.
But Spain is 3-0, the only other 3-0 team.
Oh, interesting. I thought, isn't France very good?
France is very good as well.
Okay.
From a point differential standpoint, yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then hopefully maybe if Germany can beat France, and then we can beat Germany again. But
True.
I guess it also could be exciting to play against France, but I'm sure that crowd will be even louder than the Belgian crowd would be.
Yes.
Very true. Very, very true.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you can catch it all on Wednesday. Kristen and I will be back and we'll do another pod after the semifinal rounds before the final. But 3-3, 3x3 basketball, we put a bow on it. 5-on-5 basketball, there's still plenty of games to be played. But Alyson, thank you so much for being with us today to talk about all the basketball. I want to give you an opportunity, because you're an avid Olympic watcher, to talk about what other aspects of the Olympics you love, and really why you like what you love about the Olympics, because you were very adamant. I need to be on the Olympic episode of ATB, and we said we'll block the calendar. It's all you. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, I hope it lived up to the hype for you guys. Yeah, well, I think also because I had never, settled fully on a team, it kind of felt like the Olympics was the best chance for me to really take it all in. And since I love the Olympics anyway, it works out perfectly. But yeah, I think I come from a family that we just all love the Olympics, and we all just kind of have it on all day long. The vibes, yeah, it's just good times. Like the opening ceremony when all the athletes come in and everyone's just so happy, and obviously it's fun to see the US win a lot of medals and all that. And just, I like all the other countries that don't, like, the ones where you said about how Nigeria, it's the first African country that's in the quarterfinals. Like I love all the stories like that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like my Olympic tastes are a little bit basic. My favorite is always gymnastics. I've been very into gymnastics this year, men's and women's. And otherwise, I always like diving and swimming and track. Yeah, it's just fun to know that such a large portion of the world is just tuning into the same events all at the same time. And, everyone texting about it and on social media and all that. It's just very exciting. And I like general sports excitement.
How did
I love the Olympics.
How did you feel about the gymnastics floor results this morning? Did you see them?
Yeah, I woke up this morning and immediately caught up on everything. So yes, so I thought it was Rebecca Andrade, but then some of the announcers were saying, I think Andrade, another, pronunciation. I don't know. I don't speak Portuguese. But I love her.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I honestly love everyone on the U.S. team most years, but this year it's a really great team. And I love Simone and everyone else. But I feel like Rebecca Andrade just it's like she comes so close every time, but she usually can't win because Simone Biles is just too good. Yeah. And it's like, if we didn't have the best gymnast of all time, probably against her right now, then she would be the one winning all the gold. So part of me sometimes feels bad for her that she doesn't even have a chance at these gold all arounds. So honestly, I was happy for her to be able, and just for Brazil and all the fans to be able to get that gold on floor. I would have probably been happier if it was Simone Biles getting it. And then, I guess for those of you who didn't tune in, then Jordan Chiles had done her routine. And right when they scored it, she came in fourth behind someone from, I believe, Romania. But then she put in an inquiry, which I didn't even know was a thing. It's a challenge, I guess, basically for them to review the tapes and decide that the difficulty was wrong or something. And then it turned out that she actually got the bronze. And Simone and Jordan Chiles are just best friends, and they were crying and screaming. It was really cute, very exciting.
Yeah, it was very dramatic, the whole situation.
Yes.
First of all, so many people falling off the beam was dramatic.
All in the same
Yes.
spot.
Yeah, weird, right?
Slippery
I
beam.
think they're just exhausted.
Maybe. I don't know.
But then, like, I do think Rebecca, her floor routine was so good. I mean, and Simone, you know, made some mistakes.
Yes.
So I think good for her,
Mhm.
amazing for her.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with Jordan was, like, wild. I didn't know you could do an inquiry either.
No.
Like, the whole thing about how gymnastics is scored is just so confusing.
It's
And I
terribly
wish they,
confusing.
like, laid it out better and really explained, like, what makes it difficult. Like, what are the components?
Right.
How are you adding this up? Because I also thought, like, just my mental note, like, I feel like, they've done this routine, like, multiple times.
Right.
We saw Simone's routine, like, 5 times.
So many times.
Isn't it always the same difficulty? Like, why are you changing it?
Well, I guess it's the difficulty's the same, but it's the execution, right?
Yeah.
Well, they reviewed the difficulty.
Oh.
I don't know. Just weird.
But I think it's that, I think it's that, like, well, for certain things, like, this maybe is less for floor, but on certain other events, it's like, even though there's a starting difficulty, if you don't technically finish the skill exactly how it's supposed to be, then it gets put in as a different skill that might be like a lower difficulty. But then they also were saying something about like the dance score difficulty, this is something I've talked about where it's like, I personally kind of think it's a little bit stupid, like the dance moves that they do during the floor routine.
Me too.
And I didn't realize that any of those were scored, like where it's like, and at this point, like you said, everyone does these floor routines a few times. So now all the girls that were this morning, it's like, I know all their little corny, cute dance moves and their arm movements and stuff. And I think they all need to be like a certain level. But yeah, I think the scoring to me does not make much sense. It's kind of the same as diving, where it's like, to me, it all is so out of the realm of anything close, like to what I couldn't even do anything close. So it's like, to me, it's all really difficult. So I feel like it's like, I don't need it to be laid out. I just kind of watch it, and if they stick the landing, I think it's good. But I think it's exciting. It's cute. They all like root each other on.
Yeah.
And it seems like Simone Biles and Rebecca Andrade really respect each other and like each other and root for each other, which is cute.
Yeah, that was sweet. They like just like high five and hug because they don't like speak the same language, so they can't really talk.
True.
Yeah,
it's sweet.
It is cool. It's cool. A lot of camaraderie in gymnastics for sure. I think real quick before we go, round table. Favorite Olympic performance? I'll start with you. Single performance, or single event, single moment of the Olympics so far.
Oh boy!
If you have one, I have a quick. I have one off the top of my head.
Basketball or just any sport?
Any sport.
You go first.
I think my favorite moment of the Olympics so far was the Noah Lyles winning by like 5,000ths of a second on the 100-meter dash. I was so fired up watching it yesterday. It was yesterday when we were recording this. Like, amazing to think that he didn't win, and then he does win, and he knows because he's him. It's just like, it really was my favorite moment. But sorry, I know I dropped that one on you. But I'll give you a little time to focus because I knew I was going to ask the question.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that. Well, I'll say then, I'm pretty sure this was the event where it was Sha'Carri Richardson's 100. But she came in second. She got silver. And the woman who won was from St. Lucia.
Yeah.
And it was their first medal ever.
Yeah.
And that was so sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think, I'll go with that when the men's gymnastic team won the bronze for us. That was really exciting. And I think I don't typically follow men's gymnastics that closely, but I just happened to be free when the team final was on right at the beginning. And so I was like, all right, I guess I'll watch it. And I had looked up before to see if they were even in medal contention, and they'd come in 5th in qualifying. And so it was like, okay, so like not really unless they kill it. And then it was like every single performance was so good. And it basically ended up, I was like standing in front of my TV. Like I couldn't even sit down. I was so anxious. And then they got the pommel horse guy coming in. and they just kept showing all these guys' parents. And I was like, I am so nervous right now. I can't even imagine like being related to these people. Like, and that goes for everyone in the Olympics. Like, it's such a high pressure situation. And especially in like a team thing like that, when it's like, if you fall off the beam or you fall off the pole, like, nope, no one gets any medals in your whole team. I can't even imagine that. But yeah, the men had not medaled in gymnastics since 2008, I think it was. So this was really exciting. And even men's gymnastics too, everyone was really like hyped for each other and rooting for each other, which I thought was sweet as well.
That was really cool.
Absolutely.
We love that pommel horse guy.
Yeah, Stephen Pommel Horse, whatever his last name is.
Yeah, Stephen Pommel Horse. I think that is his last name.
It's definitely his job. His job is Pommel Horse for sure. It's been a great Olympics. It's been a great Olympics. Plenty more. Yeah. It's only the 5th. We got another week of action, so let's look forward to that. Alyson, anything to say to our listeners before we send you off? Any last minute thoughts? We'd just like to let the guests know. You don't have to pitch your team because we know why people want to follow the Mercury. But anything at all?
Not particularly. I mean, I'll pitch watching the Olympics because it's really fun. It's fun. You can watch it in the afternoon and then again at night. And with Peacock, you can watch any replay like ever, which is so exciting. And yeah, we have diving coming up, a lot more track. Yeah. And then obviously starting to get into more of these actual elimination games of the basketball. And I'm sure I'll be tuning into the men too, but at this point I care more about the women. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how this goes for the US women. I'll be surprised if they don't pull it out, but then again, you know, anything can always happen. So we'll see. But I appreciate you guys having me on the podcast. This has honestly, Attack the Baseline has really been like 90 to 95% of my WNBA knowledge at this point, and I feel like I'm learning a lot along with you guys, and so it's great. I love it.
That.
Yes.
That's the point.
That is the point. That's what we're trying to do here at Attack the Baseline. Bring in new people to appreciate this that thing that we didn't even hardly fully appreciate until we started doing the show. It's been amazing. If you're a new listener to the show, you can reach out to us again at our email attackthebaseline@gmail.com or follow us on our Twitter @ATBpod_. We'd love to learn about new fans to the W like Alyson, or long-term fans who have been following for, you know, as long as the product has been around. So there's a lot of people with different experience levels, and, you know, this is a community where we accept everybody on however much W that they've consumed, even if this is the first that they're ever getting into it. So we're always happy to have new people. Kristen, I think we got to send it off. I'm looking at the baseline. Well, what's it time to do?
Time to attack it.
Attack the baseline. Alyson, thank you so much again for joining us. And we'll be back to talk about quarterfinal and semifinal action of the 5-on-5 team. But until then, talk to you later.
Walmart Plus members save on meeting up with friends. Save on having them over for dinner with free delivery with no hidden fees or markups. That's groceries plus napkins plus that vegetable chopper to make things a bit easier. Plus, members save on gas to go meet them in their neck of the woods. Plus, when you're ready for the ultimate sign of friendship, start a show together with your included Paramount Plus subscription. Walmart Plus members save on this plus so much more. Start a 30-day free trial at walmartplus.com. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. See Walmart Plus terms and conditions.